Introduced by Congressman Joe Neguse and Senator Michael Bennet earlier this year, the CORE Act, or the Colorado Outdoor Recreation and Economy Act, has passed one hurdle, the U.S. House, and now faces a bigger challenge in the U.S. Senate. The act is designed to protect 400,000 acres of public lands in Colorado for future generations. And while the act passed the House, it did not get the support of any Colorado Republicans. Well, joining us today is Jim Rainey of the Wilderness Society and Pitkin Commissioner Greg Poshman, whose father was a member of the 10th Mountain Division, which trained at Camp Hale, one of the designated areas for protection in the act. So thank you both for being here. What are we talking about here? Protection. What does that mean?
The CORE Act has several landscapes that we'd like to protect. Specifically, in my county, we've got the Thompson Divide, and then my great personal interest on behalf of 10th Mountain Division veterans is to get the Camp Hale portion of that passed. So on the whole, CORE Act is about 400,000 acres of public lands that would be protected, and that the protections it's not just wilderness, it's not just public lands that are designated for special interests. There's a full range, and I think Jim could be more.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, this bill speaks to everybody. It has a little bit of a flavor of public land protection for everybody, from wilderness designations, which are the most protective, so some of our most sensitive lands, to wildlife conservation areas, to outdoor recreation areas, to larger multiple use areas like the Thompson Divide near where Greg lives out on the western slope, which would just be protected from future oil and gas leasing.
So Congressman Tipton, he voted against the bill. He also introduced his own, the Colorado Rec Act, where he says that actually includes more voices. Do you feel like you got enough input in the CORE Act?
So it's important to note, Representative Tipton, he did vote against the CORE Act. He hasn't introduced his own legislation. He has a discussion draft out for people to comment on. But Representative Tipton has been in the U.S. House since 2011, and communities like Pitkin County and many others across the western slope have been asking for him to help with these designations that are in the CORE Act. A whole lot of work has gone into that over about 10 years. There have been lots of challenges, and we've jumped over hurdle after hurdle, made change upon change to try to get to a really strong level of support, and that resulted in this being, the CORE Act, being probably one of the most widely supported Colorado public lands bills in a generation.
Now, at the Senate level, what do you think the chances are?
I'm hopeful. With the bill passing the House, the CORE Act getting through the House just on Halloween, actually, there's a lot of momentum behind it. And really, the support for this is so broad. The communities across the western slope, from ranchers and the Thompson Divide to mountain bikers along the Continental Divide, there's a lot of support. And so I really hope that Senator Gardner will listen to that support, and he'll recognize that these folks have been asking for him to help with this for a lot of years. And right the wrong, right now, he's the only Colorado senator in about 50 years who has not co-sponsored a wilderness bill. Republican, Democrat. We have a long, proud, bipartisan history of that, and Senator Gardner has not kept with that.
Well, we will see what the Senate does. So this, I know, is personal for you. We talked about Camp Hale and your father. So talk about the importance to your family and to the area.
Well, the thing that's interesting right now is that the original 10th Mountain Division ski troopers who fought in the Second World War in Italy. They had horrendous battles in the early spring in Italy, and trained at Camp Hale, Colorado, were the ski troopers. A lot of Colorado's identity, our ski industry, our outdoor recreation industry, was started by these returning Camp Hale 10th Mountain Division ski troopers. The last of them are almost gone. The last one I know of lives in our valley. He's not the last remaining 10th Mountain Trooper, but he certainly is in our part of the state. There's a guy named John Tripp. He just turned 100 years old.
Wow.
And he's a huge proponent of protecting these wildlands, designating Camp Hale as a National Historic Landscape. He'd like to see us do this for his veterans, his fellow veterans and comrades and troopers before he's gone. And he acknowledges he doesn't have a lot of time left, but he'd certainly like to see this done. And so he wanted me to come here and appeal on his behalf and on the behalf of the 10th Mountain guys that, hey, Cory, let's get this done. Please call Cory and tell him we want to get this done. Cory Gardner, yeah.
Do you, let's say that it does get through the Senate, do you have, what are your thoughts about it getting past the president or getting to the president's desk?
Well, we want to get it to him first. He personally has said nothing about it. There's a lot of conjecture on what would happen if it gets through the Senate. So I'm not going to make a prediction about it. But we do know the president, President Trump has been to Colorado. His family comes to ski in Colorado. He's skied in Aspen. His kids, one of his sons was a bartender at a restaurant in Aspen for a while. You know, they have a connection here. They're skiers. So I'm hoping they understand the value to the people here of the ski industry and nature.
Sounds like that's where you need to make your pitch, right? To the president's office.
Well, we'll do our best.
Well, we'll see if we can get Senator Gardner to change his tune and support it. I really hope he will listen to the voices of folks all across the Western Slope and here on the Front Range too, and sign his name on the dotted line and support it.
Okay. If he just takes it to the Senate, he has to go. He's the gatekeeper. He won't admit to it, but he really is the gatekeeper to getting this to the committee.
Talking about the CORE Act.
And I think that if veterans in Colorado were to call Cory Gardner and say, hey, do this for us.
I think we got your message. All right.
Okay.
Greg Postman, Jim Rainey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Back in a moment.
Sorry about the stumble at the